friends. Today I am sharing with you how I read 67 books in the year 2021. Now here is what I want to say first and foremost. 67 books wasn't my goal. I wasn't setting out to read more than I've ever read before, but I did have the goal to read through my bookshelf, make sure that all the books on that bookshelf were books that I had read before I bought any new books. Now by the end of the year, that had been 67 books. Now, I didn't start there. Actually, 2020, my goal, many of you already know, my goal in 2020 was to read one book a month, 12 books that year. That was like ambitious, it felt lofty, it felt like a really big ask of myself. And to go from barely reading 12 books a year to reading 67 books, I want to talk to you about how I made that kind of intense lifestyle change in a self-supportive way, where I wasn't, pushing myself harder than I've ever pushed myself before, or, no sleep for the weary, no rest for the weary, just like that hustle culture mindset around our goals, but more so just how do I eliminate some obstacles, make this a more natural, integrated part of my life. And what I'm going to do really here is talk to you about how I approach habits and New Year's goals from a place of self-nourishment, the easiest possible path, and not making it a shamey, self-rejecting kind of thing. So I'm going to use the books as an example, but I'm going to walk you really through like my 6-point process to building out a new habit in a self-supporting way. So the number one thing that I do when I think about a goal or a habit that I want to achieve is that I only set a goal that is actionable. I don't set goals that are out of my control, meaning I don't set a goal to reach 1 million followers because I have no control over who decides to follow my account. I might set a goal to post 3 times a week, to post content that is valuable, to interact with other accounts, like something I can control, something actionable. So when it came to book reading, the goals that I set for myself were read 1 book a month in 2020, and then in 2021, read all of the books that I own before I buy any new books. So it's something that is within my control, because when we set these like metric-based goals that aren't really something that we have any say over, we can get really easily discouraged based off of the behavior of other people, right? And it can make us feel like, it can trap us into comparison. If I have a goal of like, I want to reach 1 million followers and a friend of mine reaches 1 million followers before I do, I can feel like I'm somehow behind, even though that's kind of an arbitrary number. I really want to focus more on why do I want that many followers and what can I do to contribute to getting me to a place where more people are following me, right? So with reading, I had to think about, why do I want to have a reading goal? What is the purpose of that? And then what can I actually control? What feels reasonable for me right now? What's a goal that feels ambitious but within reach, isn't relying on other people, right? So that's the first piece, which I'm going to tack on to another piece. So this is really all together point 1. And that is to moderate your output. Keep it simple and keep it small. We're not doing like a whole big redo of our life. We're not revamping every area of our life all at one time. Personally, I make 1 personal goal every year, 1 professional goal a year, and every other kind of thing I'd like to do that year is just a bonus and isn't really what I measure my success based on. For example, this year, one of the habits I'd really like to build is to drink more tea. However, that is not my main goal for the year. My main personal goal for the year is to just focus on healing my lungs. That's it. Now, tea is beneficial to my lungs. I'm drinking breathing deep tea right now. So it's kind of part of that, but it's not the goal. It's not like the big end all goal. So if I drop off my tea habit before the end of the year, like it doesn't really matter, because that's not the be all end all of what I decided to do for myself this year. So that's the other thing. Keep it really small, Keep it simple. Do realistic but optimistic goals. You know, we're not making goals like that. You know, the year that I said I'm going to read one book a month, if I had set out a goal to read 67 books that year, I would have failed because I hadn't built out that habit yet. I'd set a goal that was way too big for what I was currently sustaining. So we grow over time. We're doing this for the long haul. You know, this is our life. This isn't like a sprint, it's a marathon. So what can I do right now that's realistic, but a little bit optimistic? You know, it's a little bit more than I think I can do, but I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, but it's not unrealistic. I'm not trying to, you know, go from couch to 5K in one day, right? I might go, you know, we go for a little walk first, that sort of thing. So make it ambitious. Make it ambitious, but not unrealistic. Okay, part 2 is think about and eliminate the obstacles toward your goal. So you've heard this before when it comes to like working out more. You lay your workout clothes out the night before so that they're right there, they're ready to go when you wake up in the morning. Well, think about what are the reasons why, if this is something I want to do, why am I not doing it? So for me with books, I thought if I want to be reading, if I love to read, it's a big part of my life, it's something that I enjoy, why am I not reading right now? The answers for me were when I had free time, well, I was on my phone, I was watching TV, I didn't really have like a plan of action for reading. I just kind of let it fall to the wayside. So I had to come up with solutions for the main 2 obstacles for me, which were TV and phone. So we created a charging station in our dining room where we just put all of our electronics. And so for when I was building out that habit, it was like my phone, when I got home, went onto the charging station and I didn't pick it back up until the next day when I went to work. This meant that my phone was a work thing. It wasn't a life thing. It stayed in my work time. And therefore, when I was bored or I would normally be scrolling, I spent time reading instead. The same thing with TV. That's not like a huge, I don't feel like TV is something that I'm like addicted to and like have a hard time letting go. But it was kind of like I was just using it as a substitute or a space filler. And so I was able to then shift my mindset a little bit on that and just think, okay, TV is not something that I just do because I'm bored. I can, you know, read instead, think about reading instead. The other obstacle that I had when it came to reading is kind of lead us into the third point, which is to stay true to the essence of your goal. So when I think about the essence of like why I want to read more, it's because I want to be inspired. I want to be challenging my mind. I want to have different perspectives feeding into my life. And I want to be entertained, but in a kind of a slow, more mindful way. And with that in mind, the essence of reading for me, the reason that I set this goal is not because I want to have read a ton of, you know, every single book that's ever been written, or I think that reading is somehow like something that I'm obligated to do, or something that I have to finish every book that I've ever started. And I found that one of the obstacles for me to reading more was that I felt obligated to finish books that I wasn't enjoying. I felt like if I don't finish this book, then I'm somehow failing, or I'm like not completing my task. But it was actually getting in these reading slumps where I was trying to force myself to finish a book that I didn't really enjoy, would keep me from reading. You know, potentially I could have read 10 more books in the time that I was trying to just drudge my way through this one book I didn't like. So in the year 2021, when I read the most books I've ever read, I released the obligation to finish every book that I read. And I could start reading it, decide I didn't like it. My process was with my game that I played with myself with the books was, if I didn't want to finish it, then I donated that book so that we could clear more space for books we really love on our bookshelf. And that gave me the freedom to just keep going, to keep reading. Because the point, again, was because I want to fill my mind with inspiring, encouraging, and enlivening and entertaining things that new perspectives, new ways of being, new thoughts and ideas and entertainment that kept me mindful. Forcing myself to finish a book that I hated or maybe I found offensive or boring wasn't helping me with the essence of why I made that goal in the first place. Okay, number 4 is to give that habit a home in your life. So make sure that when you set a habit, that it has a place to be. So even with reading for me, it's not like I was like, maybe I'll read, if I put my phone away, I'll just start reading all of the sudden. In some ways, yes, but also I can't count on that, right? So I need to put it in a place in my life. So give it a home. So am I going to read in the morning? Am I going to read at night? And I'm going to read in the afternoon? What time of day am I going to sit down and check off, I did the thing I said I was going to do at the time I said I was going to do it? With that being said, pick the path of least resistance, meaning don't set a time where it's the hardest for you to do it. Don't say, okay, I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning and I'm going to do this thing that I'm really struggling to do at a time that I'm not normally even up and going. Like, don't do that. Make it the path of least resistance. Pick the time of day that would be the absolute easiest time of day for you to do it and put it right there. Which brings us to point 5, which is to tack it on to a well-established habit. So in this time frame where you find it really easy to do the thing that you're trying to do, read more, move your body more, drink more water, whatever it is, tack it on to something that you find really easy to do. I find it really easy to drink coffee in the morning, so I can tack on the new goal with a goal that already is established so that there's a little trigger reminder to build it in. So for me, I am going to eat breakfast every day. Like, I just am. That's a thing that I will always do. I'm not going to forget. Most days I'm going to eat breakfast. And I really hate washing dishes, but I like to have a clean home. So I tack on, once I finish eating breakfast, I just immediately go and wash the dishes, and then I immediately go and make the bed. Like, that is how I remember to do the thing. It's like my little reminder, my kind of grounding piece for the habits we're trying to build, or even the habits we have a harder time maintaining long term. Tack it on to something that you find really easy to do and make it kind of muscle memory. From here, I just go into here and I do the next thing. Which brings us to point 6, which is to create a reward system for yourself. So what is it that you're wanting to achieve? And then what is a natural positive response to achieving that goal? So we're not talking like we're buying ourselves a trip to France because we ran a 5K. Like, that's not the kind of vibe we're talking about. We're talking, okay, if I run every day for 30 days, I get a new pair of workout pants. Or, for me, the reward after reading through the bookshelf was to buy a book. I've gotten really into a series of books since the end of it. And there was this one book I wanted to buy all year long. And not until the end of the bookshelf, when I finished all the books, I purchased the first book in that series as a reward for kind of getting through this process. But it was this vision of a thing that I had to look forward to. If I do the thing that I said I was going to do, then I can reward myself. There is no limit to the amount of rewards you can have, how you structure those rewards. There's no right way or wrong way to reward yourself. It's really about what's going to work for you to keep you engaged and motivated and going. It could be as simple as a tracker in your bullet journal that you just check off every day. That is a reward. That sense of, I did it, I can feel proud of myself, I've done it. Or maybe you draw a big chart out on your wall and you color it in as you go. Or it can be as big as, okay, every 30 days I buy myself a new journal because I've journaled every day for 30 days. Whatever it is for you. For me, again, it was purchasing a book I was really excited about the moment I finished the bookshelf. So that is how I read 67 books in 2021 and just how I build out new habits and maintain them long term in general. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer them. And I will see ya next Wednesday for the next one. If you are new here and you made it this far, you should probably hit the subscribe button and let's, keep hanging out. I post a new video every single Wednesday and I would love to see you there. See you next time.